What's up, guys? Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lanturn, bringing you guys our Week 7 team builder in the UPA-D League, taking on Pure and the Purdue Mold Breakers. This was originally supposed to be King Clyde and the Inglewood Infernapes, and it's really late that I'm recording this because, oh my god, supposed to play Clyde on Friday of the week, and then he dropped that night. I waited there for 3 hours for him, and then he dropped right away. And then I wake up Saturday morning to a replacement, and then the replacement gets transactions for me. Whatever. It doesn't matter. We're playing on Sunday now, but it's like rebuilding this team in the same week and then re-recording a team builder and whatnot. So, anyways, we're playing Pure. The differences between Clyde's team and this team is that Clyde had Spiritomb, Throw, and Rotom Frost, and Pure dropped those three for Cofagrigus and Rotom Fan. So everything else is broken, and I'm not really expecting. I wasn't expecting Rotom Frost. I wasn't expecting Throw, and then I'm not really expecting Rotom Fan. But let's talk about his team. So he's got the Mega Latios, Tapu Bulu, Heatran, Toxapex. He changed the Z users. So Bulu, Tran were Z users before. Now it's Z Raikou, Landorus, Incarnate, Sheer Force, Snorlax, Empoleon, Z Cofagrigus, and Z Rotom Fan. Priority users are the Empoleon with Aqua Jet, not Spiritomb with Sucker Punch anymore. That's not a thing, so we can take that off of our prep doc. Rotom Fan with Sucker Punch. Hazard strategies, he's got the Heatran with Rocks, Toxapex with T-Spikes, Landorus with Rocks, Empoleon with Rocks, and Cofagrigus with T-Spikes. Removal options, the Latios with Defog, Landorus with Defog, Empoleon with Defog, and the Rotom with Defog, and 4 times weaknesses. He's got the Bulu to Poison, Heatran to Ground, and the Landorus to Ice. Not much of my prep changed, in all honesty. The only thing that changed is that he doesn't have a Dark type now. So obviously, you guys won't even have seen my original prep, but he doesn't have a Dark type now. So I've changed my Necrozma set around a little bit because I had Dark Pulse on there for his Spiritomb, and now he doesn't have that anymore. So we'll talk about that when I get to it. But again, I'm not really expecting the Rotom Fan. I think that's the only thing that doesn't come. I think the reason he picked up Cofagrigus was to play me, and so I think it's coming for Mega Swampert. I don't really see why it wouldn't come for like Mega Swampert and Scizor, which leads me to believe he doesn't want to bring Toxapex against me, which is it's good information. I don't think Toxapex has a great matchup against me anyways, but I would think that Toxapex probably doesn't come, which means Cofagrigus is coming in its place. I think basically any of his top 9 could come, though. It's pretty much up in the air on which 6 he's going to bring, and his offense is really powerful. The good news for me is that his physical attackers are the Bulu and the Snorlax, which are handled like okay by the combination of like Torn plus Pelipper. So talking first here, we've got the Mega Swampert. I'm running Sludge Wave with enough investment to Oko like 92 HP Bulu, so most variants of Bulu I'll Oko with Sludge Wave. I just need a little bit of chip to guarantee a kill on max HP. Waterfall is there for like Heatran in case it's got like Air Balloon, and it's also there for the Landorus. There's not many other scenarios where I'd click Waterfall except if Grassy Terrain is up and I need something to hit the Raikou really badly. Ice Punch is there for the Mega Latios, and that's pretty much it, although it's a decent way to hit the Rotom outside of Rain now, and a decent way to Oko the Landorus, but I think Waterfall is just going to be better in case he's Yachi. And then Earthquake is there to hit the Raikou, the Toxapex, the Empoleon, the Heatran, things of that nature, realistically. I probably don't want to stay in against Cofagrigus, so I'll probably just switch out against Cofagrigus most times. I'm running enough speed on here to outspeed Scarf, Rotom, Fan, and Rain. There's pretty much nothing relevant for me to outspeed otherwise. I can't outspeed Bulu. He's not going to be a max speed Empoleon, so I'm not outspeeding all that much outside of the Rain, but I'll still outspeed Mons like Snorlax and Toxapex, which is super good for me. So that's the Swampert set there. Pelipper's next. I decided I didn't want to go with a Rain reliance on Rain this week. I'm just kind of like enabling Swampert a little bit and then doing a lot of work with Pelipper. So offensive Pelipper, I think, actually has a really solid matchup against his team. Hurricane's pretty spammable against everything bar his Steel types and Raikou. And then I've got the Hydro Pump there for Raikou and Heatran. So it's really only Empoleon that can deal with me. And I just U-turn on it pretty much most of the time. I've got Defog there as well in case I'm in a pinch and I need to get rid of rocks. Enough speed on this to outspeed Adamant Tapu Bulu, which is what I expect he's going to run. I can't imagine that he'll be speed creeping Mega Swampert. That doesn't make any sense at all in my mind, because there's no reason for me to run max speed Mega Swampert. But I could be completely wrong, and he'll still outspeed me. In that case, it wouldn't have mattered what I was creeping. Max special attack, a little bit of defense on here. I'm not sure how much it'll matter, but it might. Monferno, which I'm a little bit iffy on with the team changes, but I'm also kind of okay with. mainly because I didn't really see anything else that I wanted to bring all that much. Potentially Heliolisk in this Monferno slot, but I wanted rocks on something that wasn't Necrozma, and this is really my only other rocker because I'm not bringing rocks on Pert. So kind of locked myself into bringing Monferno here if I wanted rocks, and so whatever. I'm bringing Monferno. This has a really bad matchup against Latios, but it can revenge kill the Tran, the Empoleon, the Snorlax, the Raikou, and the Tapu Bulu pretty effectively. Everything else kind of sits on top of this, so again, we'll sort of see if I regret not bringing the Heliolisk instead. In fact, I might just edit this and add Heliolisk in and not care about rocks. It just means that I'm going to have a harder time to Oko Bulu with my Mega Pert, but it does probably make sense, and so I guess I'll just build the Heliolisk set at the end of the team builder, and we'll just move on here to the Necrozma. So Necrozma, I'm running a stored power set with Calm Mind, Morning Sun, and Earth Power, which was originally Dark Pulse. Earth Power lets me break through his dual steals, and then stored power kind of just like breaks everything else. The only thing that sort of stands in the way is Mega Latios, and in theory I should be able to deal with that with my Hydreigon set, so I'm hoping that that's sort of something I can do. I guess I'm not really sure where I was going with that one, but yeah, that's in the Necrozma set. I've EV'd for something in particular. I couldn't remember in my original team builder. I can't remember now. Torn is next. I'm running a leftover set with Taunt, Knockoff, Superpower, and Hurricane. The EVs are kind of janky, but I'm outspeeding Raikou with this, which is, I don't know. It might be worthwhile to outspeed Raikou. I'm not sure. It's probably worthwhile to just knock it off or taunt it or whatever. So I'm actually running dual taunt on the Hydra as well, but I get kind of like wrecked by Cursed Snorlax, so I want a way to like taunt that so that I can actually deal with it. Then I can knock off a berry with Torn and Superpower it to death. It's kind of a lax check, but it's also a pseudo Lottie check, a pseudo Bulu check, a pseudo Lando check as well. So there's a few things that I can like pseudo check, and then I just get rid of a bunch of items. I'm actually a minus attack nature because I feel like I need the defenses, but I also need the attack investment, so I'm running all of my investment into attack left over because I need the attack investment for knockoff and superpower. So it's going to be super janky, but his calcs are going to look really weird with my investment in the nature. And then Hydreigon's next/last. Habanberry Hydra, which can take on the Megalodi. I don't know if I have the damage output with Haban to beat it with Dark Pulse afterwards, but I could potentially just roar it out and then deal with it with something later. I'm not entirely sure about that one. Yeah, that's what Dark Pulse is there for. This shuts down Snorlax. This was meant to shut down like Comment Spiritomb. It can shut down like Nasty Plot, Trick Room, Kofagrigus anyways. Especially if it wants to set up a Trick Room. If it's like Colberberry Trick Room and it wants to set up a Trick Room in my face, I'll just like taunt it before going for Dark Pulse because I've got the Roost there anyways. I've got Roar as well, so this can shut down a Calm Mind Raikou that's not Signal Beam. Although he's probably gonna be Signal Beam. I can deal with Heatran. I can deal with Calm Mind Lottie potentially. Or at least that's the point of the Habanberry. He might just be Ice Beam instead for like a Moongus plus this. I'm not sure. But I feel like he might be Draco. And Roar is also there for Curse Lax if it gets a little bit out of hand and I can't deal with it with just Dark Pulse spam. Then that would be an issue. So now that we're on to the last thing, let's just build the Heliolisk because I'm done with the Monferno. Monferno, you know, it would have been all right. Guard of War is like okay, but it doesn't really match up well against Tran plus Empoleon, despite tracing like immunities and whatnot. And tracing Sheer Force on Landorus is something that Guard of War would just like demolish things with, but I don't think it's fast enough in this matchup. So we'll go with Heliolisk, Jupiter, Dry Skin, maybe Life Orb. I outspeed most of his team, so Life Orb seems like a super solid option here with like Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Surf, and Hyper Voice. And then we'll outrun Lando, which is 301, so we'll hit 331. So we'll hit 332, max special attack, HP. There you go. So Helio here. You obviously just watched me build it, so it speeds Lando. And it's good breaker against his team. I was considering bringing Heliolisk before, but it's a super solid breaker against his team. And with the Rain Up, I can negate the Life Orb recoil with Dry Skin. So super solid. It's a 1v1 monster against the Toxapex, which is super cool. I can resist the Raikou's attacks, which is also good. And Hyper Voice does really good neutral damage to that. And then Thunderbolt breaks through a lot of this team as well. So I'm very comfortable with the Helios bring here, and we'll feel good about that one. So in terms of what I'm not bringing, Scizor, he's got dual steals that shut it down quite well. Toxapex shuts it down quite well, and now the Kofgrigus shuts it down quite well. Amoonguss, I'm really scared to bring against Heatran plus Megalodios. It's actually quite an issue for a lot of things, and Bulu is just going to run Zen Headbutt for it anyways. I could bring a Moongus for Bulu, but I decided against that and to bring Torn instead, just because I really don't think that a Moongus has the matchup in this game. Kinkeldr has a good way of breaking through Snorlax, Empoleon, and Heatran, but it gets shut down by the Pex and the Kofag, so let's not go with that. Gardevoir, like I mentioned right now, actually, is that Sheer Force would have been really solid with like HP Ground or something. I just don't. I'd need to be Scarf and make predictions. I don't want to do that. And then Monferno was obviously on the team as a rocker, and I just got rid of it. So there you go. Again, this is the re-record, so I hope that it's in-depth enough for you guys, but I didn't want to do this twice, and I got forced to do this twice, so there you go. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys for a Week 7 match against Pure and the Purdue Mold Breakers.